patterns in the worlds of nature. Is that right? You had sent that intriguing video which got me thinking as to how the mind might work to see patterns in nature in a manner that most of us possibly might miss. I do not know what he's going to talk to us about, but there is one thing which is bound to come out, which is the way nature and the society around us has immense creativity and how we work hard to miss it, I suppose. So this is one thing which I can always expect from him to surprise us all about the facets of life which have tremendous richness of meaning, richness of experience, and we just miss it because we have not touched the life close enough. So I'll leave it to Shekhar to tell us about how you continue to surprise yourself and everybody else. And of course we have Kaveri with us, his wonderful daughter, and Prerna, who is assisting him with us. So I'm sure if sometimes she feels that father is not being on the right track, she will request. And she has that authority, I suppose. So we could really relish a few repartees where she said, no, that's not what your script is, because she designed the script. So let us see what happens. On this?
Is that better?
Yes, sure.
Designer jacket doesn't have pockets.
Look at this. I'm always surprised.
Yeah, it's just sometimes I go on the juries or film festivals, they give you clothes, and these are unexpected clothes.
Yeah.
Jackets have no pockets. So we just keep going. So listen, what I'm going to do is make this interactive. I'm going to kick it off, and actually I'll just kick it off to stop you guys from being shy. Because I'm not shy, mostly when I say, okay, ask me questions, I just get a wall of shyness around me. So let's get that out. Let's start, as Anil just started with my daughter. So when she was about 4 or 5, she was this amazing artist. I still have paintings and drawings that she did when she was 4 or 5. And I thought that the expressions in those, I was quite stunned. And I thought, well, here's a child prodigy in art. And then she went to school. And in school there was an art department. And one day I started looking at drawings that she was drawing. A house with a chimney and smoke. And I said, what happened to this person that was expressing this amazing ideas on a piece of crayon? She would just get crayons and start to draw, and I was like, oh wow, where did that come from? So let me just open this out with saying that probably we are born as creative children of the universe with an ability to tap into creativity, and then we spend our lives trying to recapture it, and not knowing that perhaps we're trying to recapture ourselves. So all along the way, we lose ourselves. And that's not what education is supposed to be. That's what survival is supposed to be, I think. And maybe, as I'm thinking right now, education has become all about survival. What you need to learn to survive. And then survival becomes a circular pattern where survival in itself is then driven by education. So you know how life can be, it's like a bad relationship in a marriage, where in a bad relationship or marriage, the partners feed each other. So you expect somebody to be like what they become, and then they become what you expect to be, and you become what they expect to be. And somehow, learning and survival may have the same relationship. Education and survival may have the same relationship. Survival leads to the education, education that feeds into survival, and then it becomes this whirling dervish of its own. It just becomes on its own. And so where does creativity go? Where do you go? Who are you in this survival and education. So where are you? Yes, anybody? Question?
If we are too educated already.
No, well, that's too easy. That also, one of the big dangers in language is that you get addicted to language. Right? And then, so the cleverness of language steps in, and we become addicted to keywords. I'm going to challenge you on that. Right? Because we become addicted to keywords. And then when you become addicted to a keyword, so God becomes a keyword. Love becomes a keyword. Creativity becomes a keyword. And then it's so easy. Life becomes easy. Oh, he's in the creative fields. Keyword, creative, keyword, fields. And then you confine them and said, now I don't have to bother about it. They're gone into the creative fields. Right? He's spiritual. Keyword. What does he do? Well, he's spiritual. He's in a spiritual quest. Keyword. You define somebody. But by creating a keyword, you've created the ability to not know more. That's the problem with language. It gives you the ability to define something so you don't have to know more. And nobody knows that better than management. I used to be a management consultant. We used to define words to fool people all the time. It was word definition, it was word play, keyword play. And then management and management consultants sit together and create keywords, and they drive the economy on keywords. So if you look at Wall Street Journal and just analyze it, you'll find that our economy has been driven by keywords. And then you start to look for contradictions in those keywords, and you realize, how did they ever come to the conclusion that the only way to drive economic growth is to drive consumerism? How did that happen? How did they say, well, the economy is faltering because they're over-consuming, and therefore the only way to fix the economy, which faltered because everybody was overvaluing everything, including real estate, and there was an overconsumption and people were borrowing too much to consume. So what's the answer? The answer is consume more. How did that happen? Why didn't we question it? Because along the way, between consumption, overvaluation, and answers were a jumble of keywords. To the ordinary man who said, it's a subprime problem. So everywhere I would go in the world, everybody's talking. It's a subprime problem. What is? I said, what is a subprime? What do you mean? You don't know what the subprime problem is? So actually, please don't get aggressive with me. Do you know what it is? Of course I know what it is. Haven't you heard Obama talk about it? It's keywords. So some of the connections are formed with keywords, and keywords stop us from questioning. And somebody asked me, what is creativity? I would say it's questioning. What is God? It's questioning. What is spirituality? It's questioning. It's a dance of questions. What is anything? It's the yearning, and what is being out of the box? It's questioning. There's a dance. Or if you ask me a question, I'll give you 5 more questions, and you'll ask me a question. And all the questions dance around each other. And can you survive? Can your ego survive comfortably with questions? Without looking for defining and finite answers. Because there are no finite answers. Because everything changes. Day turns to night. The meteors travel. The universe expands. People get old. The flower dies. The leaf falls. Every moment, a billion, trillion things are changing around you that you don't even notice. So, ultimately, so if you don't keep questioning, you're not aware. If you're not aware, you're not active. You are reactive. So what you really need to do is to be active. And the only way to be active is to constantly question. and not look for answers, but look for solutions. And solutions are not answers, because solutions are thankfully temporary. Thankfully. The moment solution becomes definitive and not temporary, then the solution becomes the problem. As long as a solution is a shifting idea, it ceases, it does not become a problem. Whether it's management, whether it's creativity, whether it's film, it just needs to be fluid, like lava coming out of a mountain that it falls and turns into a hiss of steam and into the sea. It just needs to go on like that. So everything's a question. Over to you guys. Otherwise I'll get very esoteric, I promise you. Come on. What do you want to know? Shyness, yes.
So there are a lot of aspects or subjects in life in which we can get curious and creative.
You can get?
Curious as well as creative.
Yes.
So curiousness will lead to creativity.
Yes.
But what I find myself is, I find a lot of fields at different points of time which interest me at different points of time, and then I get to some level, I learn that, and it keeps adding, but I don't know what to do, because I can do these 10 things, and what I should do as one thing for life, or should I keep doing many things all my life?
Through my experience, and I'm not saying I'm a great role model, very bad role model, but my experience is that there is a duality in our existence, where you actually decide what you do and you move forward to decide what you do. But if your decision is not something fluid, you're in trouble. Because there is also other things that are deciding what to do. Your environment is changing, a billion things around you. You know, it's, what is that? We have this ability. If I take a matchbox and I strike a match, right? And somebody says, you struck this match. How did this happen? And you can trace it back, that event in your life where you struck a match, you can trace it back to the Big Bang. Because there would be no fire. But you can also, on the way, make political ideas out of it, of the kids that actually create the matches. There are a trillion things that actually led you to strike that match. And then, having discussed all that, you ask yourself one question. Hang on. Is striking the match the end game? Of course it's not. Striking the match is amongst a trillion things that is going to happen that lead to another trillion events, which is how the universe behaves. Now, inside all that, you're making decisions, right? And these are decisions that you make, and we say you've got to be focused, you've got to make this decision, you get interested in 5 different things. There's nothing wrong in getting interested in 5 different things, my experience. But around you, there are these trillion things happening. And if you're not aware of those trillion things, you become like a prime minister that doesn't say anything. You know? So you have to, there is a fluidity even through decision. There's a fluidity to focus. There's a fluidity to purpose. There's a fluidity to career. There is a fluidity where you go. Gandhi was the most obstinate man in this world, they said. Gandhi was so determined to get the British out, they said. Examine his life carefully and see how fluid he was. Brilliant, manipulative politician. Went like this and then went this way and then that way and that way, and brilliantly kept, like everybody felt he was in a single party. It was just so obedient and he achieved his purpose. Not by being single-minded, but by being completely fluid to achieve his goal. And the goal happened. Does that answer your question in a way? Or have I raised 10 more questions? Because if I have, that was the purpose. Okay.
If I may add to that question, you talked about having a purpose and then wavering and going fluid. but knowing your purpose. How bad is it to be lost?
I think you're asking a philosopher.
Yeah, well, I remember one of your interviews where the person asked you what it was like to shoot a scene with Kate Blanchett in Elizabeth. And I think you said that the first scene you shot with her, she came up to you and asked, "What should I do?" And you said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And you very honestly admitted you actually did not know what you wanted her to do, which I thought was amazing. Because very, very honestly, right now, I'm lost. I'm doing so many things, but there's a lack of purpose. And I'm a bit of a movie buff, and I remember this thing from Pirates of the Caribbean where Captain Barbossa says, for certain you have to be lost to find a place that cannot be found. Elsewise, everyone would know where it was. That gives me a little bit of satisfaction, but where is it in real life? Where do you find it?
I think it's brilliant to be lost. Because I always said this, that the three most important words in creativity are, I don't know. I think when Picasso was about to paint his canvas, he must have been lost. Because if he wasn't lost, where would he find the creativity to paint? Where would the moment arise? Where would he be able to find a moment of great urge to make that painting if he already knew what he was going to do? So to be constantly lost is a metaphor for yearning. It's a metaphor for creativity. To be constantly, it's the same as questioning. I question because I'm lost. If I wasn't lost, I would know. I know my path. But I would like my path to emerge before me through being lost. Are you all studying film? No. Okay, thank God for that. You don't mind lying my eyes out right now. Okay. I had a film called Bandit Queen. And Bandit Queen is the story of a woman who was alive at the time that I was making the film. I was looking for actors, and I cast a girl called Seema Biswas, who was a professional theatre actress, brilliant actress. And I asked her, she asked me things that every actress asks a director of. Some skill, you should know, shouldn't you? So what's the arc of the character? Where does the character go? How does the character begin? How does the character end? I hadn't even thought about it. So I pulled this trick. So, well, you tell me. And she said, well, let me think about it. I said, yeah. And I had been battling my mind about the film, how it goes, where it goes. So I said, well, you go back and write a couple of pages of the character. We had a script. That script is just events. The character lives inside the script. She went back and she came back with a page and a half of very, very professionally written ideas on this woman called Pooran Devi. And I said, Seema, that's brilliantly written, but it's a lie. She thought she'd lost the job, and I said, no. Do one thing, go back and write a page and a half and confine yourself to a page and a half and write about yourself. Come back with 1.5 pages that defines you. She came back and said, I can't do it. Obviously you can't do it. How can you confine yourself to a page and a half? Because we are all the same. We are all human beings that live in so many varied aspects, in so many different moments. At every moment, as you're sitting in front of me right now, as we're talking, you are constantly shifting. With every thought, you're shifting. You're not the same person. You go this way, that way, that way. Because otherwise, that's what being human is all about. That's what being creative is all about. That's what learning is all about. So she said, so what do we do? I said, well, that's the question, isn't it? So what do we do? Here's a woman who lives and breathes like you do. You can't find yourself. How can you find her? So she said, what do we do? In answering that question, I realized how I wanted to make the film. I said, okay, we'll go to the set. The one thing we'll promise to each other, that whatever we do will be honest. Trust ourselves that we have the skill. You're a great actress, you have the skill. I've done enough films, I have the skill. The fundamental skills involved in making a film we have. What else is there? It can't be truth. Because everybody says, oh, the film is truth. Because truth varies. The truth of this moment is not the truth of the next moment. The truth of one person is a lie of the other person. History has told you that all the time anyway. We'll be honest to ourselves. I will be honest. You will be honest. The director of photography will be honest. And in that honesty, we'll find the moment. What are you really doing? You're being lost. You're giving yourself away. You're giving away control. But when you're giving away control, you're coming into harmony with forces that you cannot even hope. May the force be with you. Right? Well, forces that you cannot even hope to recognize or be aware of till you lose yourself, till you give yourself away. So what kind of things happen? We didn't have the money to book a train. I wanted a scene in which he's screaming and shouting and a train passes and overcomes the screaming and shouting. And the passing of the train changes the whole film to its end. He's found a track. I put my ear to the track. First time I've ever done that in my life. And I waited to hear the sound of, you know what, sometimes when you're standing near a railway track, you can hear it hum, when you know a train's coming. I put my ear there, because I had seen pictures of kids doing that. I thought I would do that. And I quickly made a calculation, never having done this before, of how long the train was, because it wasn't a track that I could see, it was curving like that, it used to come around like this, so I couldn't really see it coming. I rehearsed the actors. And I'll say action. I didn't know the speed of the train, I just say action, hoping that the train will pass at the right time. Well, not only did the train come at the right time, as Seema finished her scene, the train passed. I often wondered, how was it so perfect? If I tried to control it, it would not have been perfect. I would have had to, if I could, honestly, if I could have, somebody gave me the money to pass the train 20 times, I would have not been able to do it right at that moment. What did I do? What happened? We were honest. We gave ourselves to it. And as we gave ourselves to it, our control, there were other factors, and combined with the skill we all had that was inherent in all of us, it happened perfectly, which in a situation of control would not have happened. So everything that you do, or everything that we do or I do, I have this constant need to understand that I need to let go and be lost a little bit in order to understand really what it is, and then give myself to an awareness of that moment. Otherwise you're missing it. Otherwise, when a butterfly flaps its wings, you can't hear it. Otherwise, when a leaf falls from a tree, you don't sense the pain of the leaf. Because you're in control. Because of course a leaf doesn't feel pain. Of course a butterfly's wings don't make a sound. That's the leaf system that you were taught. But of course if you let go, you'll hear that sound. You know what I'm saying?
to foster the creativity in your movies, you just let go. You're just questioning. So it's sort of brainstorming maybe. And so I guess that many ideas arise and many ideas arrive. But how do you choose between all of the ideas? Do you try all of them? Do you just let your feelings speak? Do you ask the other people? Do you do it on your own? I don't know.
All of that. You know, there is this wonderful thing that everybody talks about and nobody knows what it means. There's a word. It's a 3-letter word. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's called the ego. Everybody says, ego. You're so egoistic. What does it mean? Buddha let his ego go. What does that mean? Is that my cell phone? Yes, sorry. It's one of those wonderful moments like that's not mine. Thank you. Give it to me. It's actually, there's a duality to us, or a triality, or a quadrality, or an infinitality of our existence. But our mind will not accept that. That's the battle. Our mind is constantly looking for singularity. Our mind is always looking for that one single decision. You've been in love? Yes. Right? Desperately, deeply in love?
Maybe not.
Wow, what a lie.
So, I'm sure a lot of you have. I've been many times. Okay. So somebody says, do you love me? Of course you say yes. And then go home and ask yourself, what did I just say? What does that mean? Yes is a singularity. Love is an infinitality. How can you have a singularity answer an infinitality? Does that make sense? Why do you love me? What's the answer? It's the search for keywords. It's the search for the singularity. So when you ask me, how do I make that decision? I make the decision by falling in love. At that moment I make that decision because everything goes into a cauldron. And I just hope I have the awareness at that moment and the skill, the awareness to be aware of the answer, what to do, and the skill to interpret it. So, a musician, a classical Indian musician, spends 7 hours a day doing what we call riyaz. They practice 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 25, 30 years of their life. Why? Why do they do that? They've already achieved the perfection of the raga or the rag many years ago. Why do they keep doing that? I suspect they do that. That when the inspiration comes, they recognize it. When the inspiration comes, they recognize it, and their subconscious, they've created a large sieve, like a huge radio telescope, that when the aliens are sending a message, they'll receive it. So somewhere, they are receiving that message of creativity. Somewhere, they are owning the skills, so finely tuned, that when that inspiration comes, it is immediately recognized